Good evening. We'll call the City Council meeting to order on this lovely Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. Please be courteous. Turn off your cell phones, anything that makes noise, except the human voice, obviously. And we will call this meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, as you may. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Councilmember Wellander.
Here.
Councilmember Lowe.
Here.
Vice Mayor Gurney. Vice Mayor Farrar-Rivas.
Here.
Mayor Gurney.
Here.
Thank you, and we can let the record show that Councilmember Ding is absent this evening.
All right, thank you. Report on closed session. We had a closed session and provided direction to, do I need to define the session topic?
No.
Anyway, and we gave direction to the city attorney, but there was no action taken. And now we will approve the agenda in front of us. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have dueling motions. We'll accept Sandra as the motion, Patricia is the second.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Wellander.
Yes.
Councilmember Lowe.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Farrar-Rivas.
Aye.
Mayor Gurney.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0-1.
Thank you. And now is the opportunity for the public to comment on items not on the agenda. And do we have anybody who would like to speak tonight?
Good evening. I'm back. My name is Maria Rebekah. I'm a Sonoma resident. I live in the Springs. I brought with me to submit, however the process is for that, the ceasefire letter from Sonoma County Human Rights Commission for consideration. I'm also bringing a draft that was done with our coalition in conference with Rabbi Steve Finley, who also supports a ceasefire resolution here in the City Council, and I'm submitting that for consideration. Today, since the last time I was here, 7 members of Congress have called for a ceasefire. 13 of them are in California. Canada has just also passed resolutions or bills in their parliament to end military aid and call for a ceasefire. Since I was here last, Fort Bragg, Sacramento, Santa Ana, and Pasadena have also passed ceasefire resolutions, and Sebastopol is poised to follow. We lag shamefully behind. Sonoma County also has historically opposed apartheid in South Africa, a violent and genocidal regime of white supremacy. South African activist Archbishop Desmond Tutu, I'm sure you're familiar with, said, "If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you've chosen the side of the oppressor." He was referring to the condemnation and the action of solidarity as an action, and resistance required to demonstrate moral courage in the face of wrongdoing. I urge you to heed those words. But he actually ended up going to Palestine as well, and he said this upon return: "I know firsthand that Israel has created an apartheid reality within its borders and through its occupations. The parallels to my own beloved South Africa are painfully stark indeed." So yesterday, in front of the UN Human Rights Council, Michael Fakhri, the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights, said the following statement: "The images of starvation in Gaza are unbearable. And you're doing nothing. The UN is doing nothing. You talk and you talk and you talk and you give us lovely words. How is it that the Human Rights Council is not addressing a situation where we've never seen a civilian population go so hungry and so completely in any time in modern history? We've never seen children pushed to malnutrition so quickly. And this is on your watch. Please turn your words into actions. We've heard the call for ceasefire. We know what we need is unhindered humanitarian access. You know what needs to be done. Arms embargoes. Stop sending weapons and money to Israel. those countries are sending weapons, those who are sending weapons are complicit in genocide and starvation. You know this. Second, all those countries who have expressed their support for the people of Palestine and Gaza. Many of your countries have economic and political and diplomatic ties with Israel. It's time for sanctions, real action, real pressure. This is what ended apartheid in South Africa, he said. This is what put pressure on the fascist regime in Portugal. But why do I tell you this? I understand completely that you are not the UN. But this issue is local, and it's precisely because of money that I'm standing before you. U.S. money is invested in violence and killing around the world. The U.S. money is our money. It's the very literal money out of my meager paychecks. I cannot live off this money and already afford to live in this town, and I am actually sending money across the world to kill my own people. Time and time again, the people of Sonoma have asked for resources, for services, for roads, and we are told we don't have enough. Wouldn't it be great if we stopped sending this money to kill people? Our complacency and excuses make us complicit in all forms of violence done in our name, in the name of the U.S. So I name Congo, Sudan, Ethiopia, and Haiti. If you don't know why I'm naming these countries to you today, you should know that the U.S. is directly involved in mass loss of life in these countries and human rights violations. In every instance, the U.S. is funding what is happening in these places with weapons or money. You should care that you and your constituents' tax dollars go to this. As we face budget crises here at home, severe inequality and racism, misogyny in this town, that me and my community have experienced firsthand, we can do better.
Excuse me, your time is up.
Can I finish one more sentence?
One sentence.
This body can do better. We need actionable actions, land acknowledgements that demonstrate tangible reparations to the native people of this land from whom this land was stolen, for the Chinese migrants and immigrants who built this town and were discriminated against. We need clear divestments from the industries of violence.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that cares to speak? And just as a reminder, there is a 3-minute limitation.
Yes. Oh, I hate this. I get really nervous. Hello again. My name is Lexi Bakar. I am a resident of Sonoma. I live and work here. I'm raising my children here. I'm also first generation Lebanese on my dad's side. I'm here once again urging for the passage of a ceasefire resolution. Frankly, I'd rather be home feeding my 2-year-old dinner, but I am here instead because I cannot look at him and not think about Palestine. There are little kids, babies with limbs blown off, entire families gone. 150 women give birth a day. C-sections with no epidurals. I just had a C-section. They take your organs out of your body to take your baby out. That is horrifying. War crimes are being committed on our dollar. This is a local issue because our tax dollars, almost $200,000 of Sonoma money goes to Israel every year. We have been paying for the oppression and the terrorization of the Palestinian people for 75 years. It is our weapons, our guns, our bombs, our bullets that Israel has used to kill over 30,000 civilians in the past 5 months. 44% are children. We don't have the luxury of choosing to stay out of this because it's foreign policy. We are directly tied to this. The U.S. has quietly sent 100 arms transfers since the start of the genocide without public input or congressional permission. They would not be able to do this without us. The blood is on our hands. To claim that we lack the power to stop this is false. There are countless better uses for this tax dollars. All of us can name multiple. Maria named some. Bike paths, affordable housing. It's extremely unsafe for kids to walk or bike to school in this town, especially on the west side. We also need to ensure our teachers receive a living wage. These are the priorities our tax dollars should support. I want my children to grow up in a town where our tax dollars support them. Most of the world can plainly see this as a genocide. Maria named all the cities that are passing resolutions. There are Palestinians, Arabs, and Jewish community members who live here, who have family that are directly impacted by this. This is extremely local. We have a duty to do something for the young people in our town that are asking for this. They're fighting for peace, for their futures. This is our duty. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
So, this, to echo the theme of the
I'm
moment,
sorry, you'll need to address the council, please.
genocide is a local issue, and pretty much what I was going to say, it was said better by the two people before me. Again, my name is Seth Donnelly. I'm a Sonoma resident and a high school teacher. Just in the last 2 weeks since I came and we were here and we spoke with you, each delay in getting action results in a more catastrophic situation. As I'm sure you're following the headlines, the World Bank came out today saying that 1 million people are now in starvation. This is, as others have mentioned, our tax dollars at work. This would not be possible without U.S. Arms, without our tax dollars. And clearly, it matters when local city councils, which is the closest organ we have to a representative government in this country, represent us and say, we will not pay for genocide. I have no further comment. Please put this on the agenda and move quickly. We are working with the rabbi and faith leaders, but this needs to be done. This town needs to be a leader. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Thank you. I'm Tanya Marsh. I'm here to remind you, again, why this genocide is absolutely a local issue. I've lived here as a parent for almost 20 years, in this town settled, just like the illegal settlements that Israelis are creating now, violently stealing the land of Palestinian families who lived peacefully for generations, many for centuries. Here, I will remind you again that we are living on the stolen lands of the Wapo, Miwok, and Pomo tribes, who are all still here and all still struggle for access to affordable housing, food, medicines, and simple basic resources on their own stolen lands because illegal white settlers kicked them out and then wrote rules specifically excluding them. As elected officials, we trust you to know your facts. After more than 165 days of attacks and starvation on innocent children, pregnant women, parents, and elders, my concern is that most elected officials aren't getting true facts. Somehow you aren't aware that Israel controls everything in Palestine and not a thing they don't know happens, controlling every single facet of life down to how much water or electricity Palestinians get each day. It's illegal for Palestinians to gather some wild plants harvested as food for centuries prior by their ancestors, illegal to visit certain sacred sites, and illegal to travel on some roads. And it might not seem familiar because privilege allows us to not see the absolute discrimination being justified by what has been a blatant hijacking of Judaism, as Zionists are the same as white supremacists, who are the ones both anti-Semitic and Islamophobic. I started listening to my Jewish friends who said, "Not in our name," and to hundreds of thousands of Jews around the world, part of Jewish Voices for Peace. I listened to Vets About Face. I started seeing videos directly from friends with families in Gaza with repeated violence like I've never seen before. And to clarify, not once have I seen Hamas doing any act of violence. And the only time we even saw them was at a hostage exchange, which, remember, there are still hostages from Israel whose lives are at risk every day a ceasefire is not called, along with thousands of Palestinian children who are still being held captive illegally by Israel. What I have seen over and over again is nothing but Israeli soldiers doing unspeakable acts of brutality with zero regard for life, whether human or animal. And if you aren't seeing those videos, you aren't seeing the right facts. I'm trying to run 2 small businesses in this town. And since October, this ongoing genocide has almost ended one, and the other has slowed to a snail's pace as the people that I want to sell my works to can't shop while their family and friends are being wrongfully killed by an illegal occupation. So I'm no longer generating tax revenue for the city or the county, which is good for now because in a year, Sonoma City spends approximately $191,000 on weapons to Israel rather than on housing assistance, tuition for students, healthcare for children, solar for communities. And lastly, if you don't remember the 1948 Nakba in Palestine, which expelled over 700,000 people, where did they go? Everywhere. They came here. Some are here just as the descendants of the Wapo, the Pomo, and the Miwok tribes. Their children and their grandchildren are here in our schools and in our towns. And how safe do you think they feel in our communities, especially when the people they elected will not help stop the murder of their families in Palestine?
All right, I'm sorry.
Free
Thank you.
Palestine, ceasefire now.
Thank you. Excuse me, could you remove the sign here and give it back to the person that left it there? Thank you. Anybody else want to speak on this or any other issue for the council?
Hello, my name is Gary Sweden. Been a Sonoma resident my whole life. And we unfortunately had a grandson die a few weeks ago. And when we went to arrange for his funeral, to be buried at the Valley Cemetery, we were really surprised and kind of appalled at the charges. And I would ask that the city council review those charges that it cost them. We bought our plots 20 years ago, and strangely enough, one of the charges is $700 because our grandson's name was not on a plot. Well, we didn't expect him to die before we did, so naturally his name wasn't on a plot. And another charge, $900, he was cremated. This is a 12 by 12 box. $900 charge for the liner. A non-resident fee. We've lived in the city of Sonoma 30 years out of the last 40 or so, and now we live one block outside the city limits. But anyway, because we're non-residents, there was a charge. And so I just asked the city council, please take a look at these charges because they seem way out of line to us. And I would also like to comment on the condition of the cemeteries. The Valley Cemetery is very appalling. We were given a list of rules to follow in placing someone there. And when you read the list and then go to the cemetery, the rules aren't being enforced. There's trees growing, obviously planted in burial sites. There's bushes. There's all sorts of paraphernalia left on the grave sites by the families. And according to the rules, that shouldn't be. And it really needs to be cleaned up and taken a look at. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Patricia Cullinan. Since we're talking cemeteries, I would like to announce that the Sonoma Valley Historical Society has an intern who's going to work for 8 weeks, 40 hours a week, from Bray College in Louisville, Kentucky, and she's going to do a GIS project for the Sonoma Valley Historical Society of the cemetery, and we're going to sort out, we have many Excel spreadsheets from different sources that have the burials on them, and we're going to try and sort out who's buried where. I don't know if you guys know, but sometimes it's a mystery. So thank you. Thank you for hiring someone. I know I'm not supposed to, or not done yet.
It's on the agenda,
Okay.
and we'll be discussing that later, so
Okay.
if you have anything unrelated to that item, that would
Okay,
be
but I wanted to tell you about our project.
great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hello. I am a student at Sonoma Valley High School, where there have been massive budget cuts year after year to our teachers, our school supplies. It's something that we're very used to, and most recently to teachers that we love and who love us very much are being cut from their jobs or having to find other work because of insufficient funds. All this while we are sending money to Israel so that they can commit genocide against the Palestinian people. As Seth has already said, the UN now warns that 1.1 million Palestinians are at imminent risk of death. There is very, very little time until hundreds of thousands of people died due to hunger in mass. And my school is experiencing budget cuts to teachers that make our school a place that is enjoyable to attend. You know, they are our education. And instead of prioritizing that, we are doing this. We have people that, under other circumstances, may be on completely opposing sides of the Israel-Palestine conflict, who are all coming together to speak out against this and to ask you to take action in our humble little Sonoma. You have Jewish, Arab voices that are desperately asking you to at least put this on the agenda to pass a ceasefire resolution, and you are ignoring us time and time again. Sonoma sets a precedent for other towns like us, and we are greatly falling behind the people that we should ideally be leading. I find that very disheartening. And, you know, we stand up here again and again, and you hear from people who are directly impacted by this conflict, and still we won't even put it on the agenda. While my school is experiencing teachers being fired who we desperately love, and that makes me very angry. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else care to speak? Any other public comment? Seeing one.
Hello. My name is Celine. I'm a senior at Sonoma Valley High School. As a young student and community member in the Valley, I've noticed generational disparities in the issues scrutinized by our local government. And I'm, like these lovely people, I'm here to urge you to support a ceasefire resolution. During the first 2 months of Israel's bombing of Gaza alone, 281,315 metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions were released into our atmosphere. The effects of this war will be catastrophic for the future of all the young residents of this world, including Sonomans, as we come to terms with the ongoing climate crisis, both locally and nationally. Our tax dollars are funding this environmental catastrophe and mass loss of human life. Sonoma must stand on the right side of history in face of the global humanitarian and environmental crisis. If environmental disaster and the loss of more than 30,000 Palestinian lives, funded by our money, is not enough for you to support a ceasefire resolution, I do not know what more to say. Commissioners, please listen to our youth, of whom the vast majority plead their representatives for immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Next item on the agenda is meeting dedications. Do we have any meeting dedications today? Patricia?
No, I do not.
Okay, seeing none. Council members' reports and comments. Mr. Wellander, do you have any?
Yes, I do. I had the chance to attend a workshop regarding our contract with a consultant regarding our water. And let's just say they are in the process of negotiating a new contract to provide us the necessary services. I have nothing in detail to report other than it's ongoing. I also had the privilege last night to attend the recognition of our treasured artist at El Verano High School, along with several of my fellow council people, and I was very proud that we had this opportunity to recognize a very gifted individual, Victor Farrar. And the last two items I do want to speak to is a task that I want to bring closure to. I want to publicly announce the selection, my personal selection of two commission appointees for the Climate Action Commission. I am proud to appoint Cedra Nathan. And for the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space, for my direct appointment, I am appointing Dana Izetta. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lowe?
Thank you. As a member of the Sonoma County Transportation Authority Regional Climate Protection Agency, attended their meeting. I will put available to the public. There's a wonderful resource, a home resilience guide. This is for energy efficient, safe, and durable homes. The guide is in English and it's in Spanish. It's really very nicely put together and really will help people in their personal homes save energy and move to efficiency and durability. There's also an annual report from Measure M regarding the money spent and so forth. And I know that we also, I wasn't there, but for those of you traveling up to Santa Rosa, you saw that the Hearn Avenue interchange is, after I don't know how many years, has finally begun. And we got a note that I think the Chase Street Bridge is now open. You might be speaking to that later. So many good things happening as far as that, transportation is concerned. One of the things I would mention, I know several people here live outside the city limits, and when you have issues regarding roads, I mentioned several that I, just on my way to El Verano, for example, yesterday, Riverside and Railroad really could use some work. And I know the supervisor will be submitting to the Transportation Authority priorities, so please make sure you reach out, and I will be there to advocate for all of Sonoma Valley, not just the city of Sonoma, but all of Sonoma Valley, to make sure that our roads and highways and so forth are safe. So thank you very much, and I'll leave these with the clerk for anyone who needs them. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Farrar-Rivas?
Yes, I was out of town last week, so I only have a few to report. So, or the week before last, I did attend a meeting of the Lunch Rotary. I know there's more than one Rotary, and I attended that meeting. And our chair of our Climate Action Commission, David Morrell, was presenting our climate action strategy, and then I also participated with him in that to be able to answer questions about our strategy. And then I also participated in a Zoom meeting for the Sonoma Collaborative, and in regards to housing. And I was there as a guest speaker along with Permit Sonoma and the Sonoma County Planning, a member of the Sonoma County Planning Commission. And that is it. Thank you. Oh, and I would have selected Miss Cedra Nathan, Miss Cedra Shapiro Nathan. I would have asked her to be my direct, but Ron beat me to it. So I am actively, because at that point I think we only knew that my direct appointee was no longer going to be on the commission, but also that there was another direct appointee that was not going to be on the commission. Ron's was not going to be on the commission either. So I'm actively looking. I have a couple of people on my list to call and meet with and get referrals about these people, and also look for. So anybody that is interested in serving on the Climate Action Commission, please apply. We can use some more diversity and some younger people in that commission. It's doing pretty well at this point, especially with this new appointee. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Last Thursday, the 14th, I sat with the Tourism Improvement District and reviewed their financial status. They also awarded a grant to an organization to help fill hotel rooms, and so they are doing well. The other item was already spoken about, but the reception last night for the treasure artist was absolutely fantastic, and it's such a great exchange of cultural knowledge, and it was really well done. So if you weren't there, you missed it. Anyway, so that concludes council members' reports and comments.
Just one thing, in the city manager's office, there's a tote bag for each of you that I brought back. I went to the housing, affordable housing conference, not per the city, that's just something that was part of my actual day job, if you will. And, but I, hope you all pick one up, and brought back a silk screen poster that hopefully we can put somewhere, maybe into the Haven for decorations. And it says hope and housing for all. So.
All right, thank you. City manager comments.
Okay, thank you. Just three quick updates. One is, as Councilmember Lowe mentioned, Chase Street Bridge is now open to traffic, and we're excited to have that open. You'll hear more about that coming up soon, but we do want to thank the public for their patience through that project and the neighboring, those that live nearby through the construction project. So that was a big project for us. I'm glad it's open. Second is, despite what the paper said this morning in terms of our staffing shortages, the building department is open. We are there. We do have staff there that are working hard to make sure that plans get reviewed and processed and approved. So we do have staff there working hard for you. So please come by if you have questions and need a permit. We will be there. And just a final reminder, the accolade reception for Wayne Shockey is next Tuesday, March 26th. As a reminder, 6:30 p.m. at the Vintage House. So just want to make sure everyone knows about that. And if you want more information on that event, you can go to our website and find out more. So that's all I have.
Thank you. City attorney comments.
I have no report this evening.
All right, thank you. All right, and now this is the moment we've been waiting for, I believe. Item number 6, presentations. Mr. Taylor, are you still here? Oh, good. All right. Step up to the podium. I think you are the recipient here this evening on behalf of
James Marshall Berry.
Well, everybody just get on up there that needs to be there. So this is a proclamation award that the City Council is giving, proclaiming April 1st, 2024 as KSVY Community Radio Day on the occasion of the 20th anniversary.
No kidding on that one.
Yes. And I'm going to actually take the time to read this because of the relationship and support that we receive as a community from KSVY and the work that you do. I think it's worthy to actually read this into the record. So, whereas for 2 decades, KSVY Sonoma 91.3 FM has served as a beacon of community connection, broadcasting to the residents of Sonoma and beyond. Since its inaugural broadcast on April 1st, 2004, it has become a vital platform for amplifying local voices, preserving culture, and facilitating the exchange of information. And whereas at its core, KSVY is a nonprofit, volunteer-driven community radio station dedicated to serving the diverse needs and interests of Sonoma and its surrounding areas. And whereas, unlike commercial stations, KSVY prioritizes local voices and content, offering a rich tapestry of programming that reflects the unique character and spirit of the region. And whereas KSVY provides a platform and tools for local businesses, musicians, artists, activists, and community leaders to share their stories, ideas, and talents. And whereas by discussing local civics, highlighting the accomplishments of businesses and nonprofits, showcasing cultural events, and featuring emerging artists, KSVY promotes dialogue, engagement, and unity within the community. And whereas KSVY demonstrates its commitment to strengthening community bonds and supporting the local initiatives through active engagement with the community, including the promotion of fundraisers, sponsorship, and broadcast of local events, and collaborating with civic leaders and nonprofits, all aimed at fostering stronger ties within the community. And whereas, only a couple to go, whereas KSVY plays a crucial role in disseminating vital information during emergencies such as wildfires or public health crisis. Its immediacy and reliable broadcasting serve as a lifeline, keeping the residents informed and connected when communication channels may be disrupted. And whereas in its 20 years on the airwaves, KSVY has become more than just a radio station. It has evolved into a beloved institution, woven into the fabric of Sonoma's cultural and social landscape. And as we commemorate this day, we celebrate not only the station's longevity, but also its profound impact on our community, enriching lives, amplifying voices, and fostering connections that endure for generations. Now, therefore, I, John Gurney, Mayor of the City of Sonoma, along with the City Council, proclaim April 1st, 2024 as KSVY Community Radio Day, and in the City of Sonoma, on the occasion of their 20th anniversary, in recognition of their contributions to our community, and extend our heartfelt appreciation for their dedication to promoting dialogue, engagement, and cultural enrichment. Witnessed by my signature, and there's a lovely seal on here too. And I want to present this to you.
This way. Everybody. Everybody up there. Yeah, it'll be fun. Get a big picture.
This is about a third of our hosts from the radio from all years. James being one of the oldest ones in the group. George Weber too. All right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because we can see the camera.
Okay. We're going to do a couple different cameras here. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more. Don't move. This one. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There you go.
April 1st, very good. Open house, April 1st. What time?
Hit that microphone there. A few words from the president. Oh, Jesus. Talk about the Monday.
What? Oh, right.
Got my attention.
I didn't write any of that. I guess we will. I'm supposed to say a few words here. I am James Marshallberry, the president of the Sonoma Valley Community Communications, which is the umbrella nonprofit that keeps KSVY and Sonoma TV going. We're joined here by we have our treasurer, Lindsay, here, and our secretary, Beth, as well. I want to thank, first off, the council for those wonderful words and this great proclamation. And I want to thank all of our volunteer hosts, without of which there would be no content or no anything to do. Over the course of the 20 years, I don't think we've ever added them up, but it's probably well over 1,000 people who have had shows on
on the radio station. We currently have 60-something, 63, 65. So if you added all that up over 20 years, I'm sure we're probably over 1,000. We want to make sure everybody knows about our open house on April 1st at the station. We'll have a morning session. There'll be things going on throughout the day. There'll be coffee and donuts in the morning, I believe, from 8 to 10. And then we're going to have an afternoon session from 5 to 7 with wine and, I don't know, charcuterie plates or something like that. But the public is invited, and we want to thank everybody that supports KSVY. We are truly community-driven. We're funded by the community. We do not have big funders. We'd like some. So if you have extra checks, we'd like that as well. You can, and we are a certified nonprofit, so it's a very good tax-deductible donation. And thank the city for your support through all this as well. And thank you for still listening to KSVY FM Sonoma.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm on my personally 14th year now as the working there at KSUI executive director for about 6 years. And again, the hosts, that is really what creates the radio. And, James and George Weber being one of and Beth being some of our longest lasting hosts. And then there's a bunch of new ones in here too. And then I just love to see the continuing parade of people that come through at KSUI. Growing up here in the Sonoma Valley, going to the high school, I see people come to the door. I'm like, I have not seen you in 35 years, and it's wonderful to do and to see and be part of. Again, Monday, April 1st, it's an open house all day long. There'll be little peak moments, 11 to 1. We're having the Groovy Grinds and Coffee Talk out there. And we will also have the 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., what we're calling happy hour. So I don't know what that means, but we'll be there, and please stop by and check out the offices, the studios. We painted it. So.
And could you just confirm the donut time again?
The donuts, 11 a.m. So.
Okay.
You mean they're at 9 and there's no donuts?
Yeah, right. We'll have donuts all day. All right.
All right.
Somebody got a note of that? All right.
All
Thanks.
right.
I appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much, and truly thank you very much for what you do.
All right.
Thank you. All right. Go celebrate. Okay, we have a second presentation, another proclamation. Is Bruce Johnson here? Bruce.
I come with a much smaller entourage.
Well, that's okay. That's all right. Equally important. All right. So the City Council is proclaiming March 17th through the 23rd of 2014 as National Surveyors Week in the city of Sonoma. I'm assuming you're a surveyor.
Yes, sir.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
At least that's what my license tells me.
So, this is probably something that doesn't get a lot of attention, I'm suspecting, in the world in terms of building and development and growth.
Not until we get it wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, surveying has been an essential element in the development of the human environment since the beginning of recorded history, and it is in a requirement in the planning and execution of nearly every form of construction, with its most familiar modern uses in the fields of transport, building and construction, communications, mapping, and the definition of legal boundaries for land ownership. And in order to accomplish their objectives, surveyors use elements of engineering, physics, mathematics, astronomy, law, history, no technology. Oh yeah, I thought so. And since the colonial days in the United States, surveyors have been leaders in the community, statesmen, influential citizens, the shapers of cultural standards. Former notable surveyors include George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Lewis and Clark, Daniel Boone, and Henry David Thoreau, among many others, not to mention Bruce Johnson.
They're much more interesting than I am.
Anyway, many of the services are now provided through the use of sophisticated surveying equipment and techniques, including satellite-borne remote sensing devices and automated positioning, measuring, recording, and plotting equipment. So the establishment of the week of March 17th through the 23rd, 2024 as National Surveyors Week is a fitting tribute to all surveyors now and therefore. So with that, I congratulate you as a surveyor and all of your like kind and have
Thank
a
you.
lovely proclamation for you.
Step right over there. Go that way, just there you go. That way I can get the council members behind you. Perfect. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I'll figure this mic thing out here one of these days. Thank you, councilmen, council people, Mr. Mayor, for this recognition. As a member of the California Land Surveyors Association and the Sonoma, both Sonoma chapter and statewide organization, we appreciate this recognition. And as the proclamation says, there have been many notable surveyors throughout history, and then there's a lot of us who are just, you never really know what we're doing until after the fact. You know, civil engineers, architects, they design these wonderful buildings. We're the ones that tell the contractors where to put it so it's not over a boundary line or right on top of a sewer line, because nobody wants to have to fix a sewer line that's under your house. And in terms of technology, we use everything from what looks to be cameras that will sit up in an intersection. It looks like we're taking pictures. We're actually taking measurements. And there are satellites that are hundreds of miles up in Earth orbit that we have equipment that we can locate a particular point on the ground to within less than an inch. So there's lots of technology. There's lots of elements that go into it. And I didn't know what it was when I started doing it, but I've grown to love it in 30 some odd years and look forward to keep doing it. Thank you very much.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, moving along to the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be acted upon in a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the council or staff request a specific item be removed for separate action. So, is there anything that the council needs to have removed? Seeing none. All right, is there any comment from the public? Seeing none. Is there a motion?
Move approval of the consent calendar.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Wellander,
Yes.
Councilmember Lowe,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Farrar-Rivas,
Aye.
Mayor Gurney.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 401.
All right. And there are no public hearings this evening, and we're going to move to the regular calendar. So the first item is 9.1, City Cemeteries Action Update, and adopt a resolution authorizing the creation of a new cemeteries manager position and the addition to the City of Sonoma salary schedule at a monthly salary defined to be $9,094 to $11,054. And Ms. Yankovic, how are you?
Good, thank you, Mayor
Take
Gurney
it
and
away.
council members. I'm Jenny Yankovic. I'm the assistant to the city manager, and the city manager's office is ultimately responsible for the management of the cemeteries, and I'm currently the interim project manager for this. It's really been an honor and a privilege learning more about the 3 cemeteries owned by the City of Sonoma, Mountain Valley, and Veterans. And this action item is also a great opportunity as we're proposing a full-time cemetery manager position to give you just a little update on where we are on the items that came to you in November, to focus on increasing inventory and taking a look at our cemetery program as a whole. So slide number 2 will kind of let you know what this item is, we're going to give you an update, and then we're going to ask you to take some action on the creation of a full-time cemetery manager position. Number 3. So in November, what came to you was a report from Sloan. Stephanie came from Sloan Consultants and provided a report about the recommendations and initial action items that we should take as a city. And this was kind of in the aftermath of a civil grand jury report, where it was also citing some of the deficiencies that the city as a body have known about, but we're continuing to Band-Aid and keep it together. And last year, this council really made some great and decisive decisions about we're going to take action and we're going to make some progress in really addressing this the right way. And it's really been an honor and a privilege to help support that. The actions that were approved in November included an investment in adding inventory specifically for above ground cremains, also approving the contracting of burial services, and approving a new updated price list. You heard a little bit about that earlier today from Mr. Sweden. I don't know if he's still here. Yes, he and I had the opportunity to chat a little earlier. So there is some sticker shock for some of the current pricing that keeps the city kind of up with market so that we are not continuing to lose money and need to subsidize the enterprise with our general fund. So that is something that we are continuing to work with our residents about. So that this slide just kind of gives you an update on timeline of where we are on our inventory. So as you can see, we're currently working with stakeholders to get this inventory implemented. These are 100 additional niches that would be focused at mountain and veterans. And this was due to the demand that we are currently experiencing. So if we go to the next slide, please. So Mountain Cemetery, this shows you the proposed location of where we would like to add 60 additional niches that would be above ground cremains placement units in a columbarium. So as you see up in the upper left corner is the entrance off of First Street West, and you'll see veterans there with the pretty star. And as you go up, this is just to the north of the annex and right in front of, I think, Mausoleum 11 maybe, right where that beautiful oak tree is. So next slide, I'll give you a little better feeling. And what you see is kind of right under that beautiful oak tree, there's a triangular area that really has a nice plaza-like feel. It's framed in front of the mausoleum. And then on the other side, you look kind of up the hillside to some in-ground burial and also some private mausoleum units. And this was one of the 2 locations presented in November. But when we walked with our stakeholders, it really felt like this would be optimal because it would be an initial investment that could then be enhanced and added. If you could go, there was a columbarium unit right across that you saw, and this gives you kind of a feel of where the initial placement would be, with plenty of room for memorial benches, for other types of placements, and it gives you a feel of being able to flow from the mausoleum area where there are above ground full body crypts, and then also into the in-ground. So that is the proposed location that our contractor is looking at, providing renderings for review and making sure it continues that enhancement and customized flow. It also provides opportunities for other kinds if people are more interested in more natural kinds of options, it's a nice area to be able to look at some of those opportunities as well. So again, this would be 60 niches. So next slide. Veteran Cemetery, we're actually looking at 40 units. And we are looking at the northwest section, just west of the current park, where we have our in-ground plots. And if you want to go to the next slide, as you see, what that does is it provides a nice frame for the already developed park. The idea would be we would extend those cypress trees up to almost near the creek, and you see the shed. It would then provide a nice continuation of that cypress frame, provide a visual kind of natural break between the current shed, and allow again another space for more development later after that initial columbarium is provided. Next slide. And the idea would be, if you remember from the timeline slide, that after design, looking at materials, the installation would happen for both of those simultaneously, just because that could be cost effective if we're going ahead and building and installing them simultaneously. And the goal would be to ensure we have that by this calendar year. So the next, we will go to the burial contract that we talked about. This was presented by Sloan to kind of a two-prong. One is it allows the city to, without a large initial upfront investment, it allows us to create more inventory for in-ground full body burials almost on an as-needed basis, because we would have a contractor that can do this, and we have an open close fee that covers that cost. Therefore, it's just a pass-through fee, and the city is not encumbering the cost through trying to have it pre-made and then our staff kind of coming in later and doing the placement. The contractor would do it all, and that provides a much more efficient, especially for the scale of the inventory that we have now. And what we found, and just a reminder, that we're finding more and more cemetery requests are for cremains, and that is really the demand we're seeing, as full bodies aren't as much of a demand. This, you can go ahead and go to the next slide, please. This is the proposed location for what the contractor, when they did the walkthrough with staff. We had a few different walkthroughs with designers, with staff, and also with members of our veterans groups. And so we had a couple different stakeholder walkthroughs. This actually was the second option proposed to council for an above ground columbarium, but it really felt, with the dimensions and the flow, that that could be a very natural spot to do some infill development, if you will, for in-ground. So we'd have to do a little bit of a further evaluation just to make sure the ground is in a good position for us to be able to do that with the contractor. Next slide. And then at Veterans, the natural place is that grass area just to the, again, the west of the existing plots. One of the main reasons for looking there is we've looked at drainage there, which is an issue on that site. There's a very high water table there, and so we do already have some drainage in there. Chris Pegg, who was here earlier, our wonderful Public Works team member, was able to walk with us on that and really convey a lot of the technical grounds issues to the contractor and the consultant as we were doing our walkthrough. So next slide. So the other items that we've updated and want to make sure that you all, as well as the public, know is we've updated the information on our city website. And if you go to the cemetery section, all the pricing information, profiles of each of the cemeteries historic information, which I'm super excited about what Patricia was talking about earlier. We have some really great history in all of our cemeteries, and it's wonderful that we're kind of getting to a point where we're on the verge of really being able to uncover that great information. We've also been looking at updating our policies and procedures and getting those a little more meat and enhancement. And as Mr. Sweden shared with you, policies are great, but we also need enforcement. And so working on those two things simultaneously is really important to make sure that we have our cemeteries, which are already such a wonderful resource, something that we all feel proud of. And we want to make sure that our policies are enhanced to the point that it fits where we are today. They haven't been updated in quite a while, just like some of the other parts of our grounds that are more visible haven't been maintained to the standard we all wish for a while. We definitely are. It's a heavy lift right now, and the council is doing a lot of lifting with us, and we're really excited about getting to that place because we know the opportunities there. Next slide, which takes us to the proposal to hire a full-time dedicated cemeteries manager that would report directly to our city manager, that would be responsible for everything from budget to sales to maintenance, volunteers, and coordinating with outside vendors and outside organizations so that we can really turn the corner and have this be an enterprise that we're proud of and sustainable, and to get it to a place where it is not a drain on the city finances, but is something that is self-sustaining. And it's been around for generations. I know for me, I have great grandparents in both Valley and Mountain, and this project has been so enlightening. Like I said, it's been an honor and a privilege, but it's also been very eye-opening at what it takes. We have 15 plus acres of cemeteries when you count all of them together. And there are amazing tree canopies, beautiful environmental opportunities, historic opportunities, art opportunities, all the things. And I just want to commend and thank you all for recognizing the resources that they are and what they could be. And I'm here. If you have any questions, or it's kind of back to you for your discussion and action on this item.
All right, thank you. Don't go too far away. I'm sure there will be some questions. Ms. Farrar-Rivas, any questions?
Yeah, the only question I had, I just wanted to ask again on the Mountain Cemetery, and actually the Veterans Cemetery, the slide that shows where there would be the full burial sites.
Yes. Next one.
Sorry, I get to be a little OCD, so kind of the lopsidedness of adding it to the left side, and knowing that that's where the creek runs on that side, so just a little better understanding, because you said about around the water flow issues.
So my
Yeah.
My understanding is they already have a drain. You walked with me, David. You're a water guy. Do you want to take it? Thank you.
Sure. There has been drains put in here to address the high groundwater level in this area for the previous burials that have happened. And so it's a natural progression to continue that section and tie into that existing drain
Because we've
structure.
already put the infrastructure in to deal with that.
They'll need to do some work, but I think this is the area that Public Works would
Prefer.
recommends focusing on.
All right.
Ultimately, the entire site is designed for future burials, so over time we'll have to address those groundwater issues through the entire property. But this is where we're proposing to start first.
And then the other question, which I think also is for you, David, which I've asked you before, asking again just from a public point of view, is in regards to the budget for this position. my understanding is because of vacancies, there's enough in the budget now, and then it would get included in the next year, part of next year's budget. Is that correct? Maybe I got that a little wrong.
That's correct. Yeah, we'll be using existing revenue that's currently in the fund to get us between now and July 1. I don't anticipate, if council approves this tonight, we still have to develop the brochure, get it out, recruit, interview, and bring somebody on board. So there'll probably be a very minimal overlap between this current fiscal year and next fiscal year. What you will see in the next fiscal year's budget through the process through May, June, and July, in adoption in July, in June, will include this position in the cemetery budget. So you'll see how that impacts the anticipated revenue and anticipated expenses to cover this cost.
And to dovetail off that, we currently have a total of 1.75 FTEs budgeted to the cemeteries on a whole. And so a part of that would be allocated to the new position. So it'll be some percentage, I guess, or whatever that balance might be, by taking some of, sort of like we did with the maintenance team where we had 2 part-times and then we were able to have a full-time weekend and evening person. We will be able to use some of the salary savings from those partial allocations to allocate to the full-time for next budget year as well.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Lowe, do you have any questions? Mr. Wellander?
Yes, thank you. The first question is, given the completion or the available space left, is the position, in your estimation, full-time, or could it be a part-time position?
Full-time.
Okay, fair enough.
No doubt. I've been, you know, I feel like there's so much to this, and the opportunity is so expansive. And like I said, with 15 plus acres of land plus running the enterprise, when we look at models like Santa Rosa Memorial or other really well-run, well-maintained, good programs, you know, all the things that I know you've all talked about, sense of place, pride, you know, we want it to reflect Sonoma. Absolutely full-time.
Great, thank you. I believe you've already answered it, but what I had highlighted here in the summary report was the salary requirement for this position would be funded with salary savings. So does that reflect in the past we've had part-time public works employees working at the cemetery? Is that correct? Okay, thank you. I am extremely excited about the ability to turn attention to what I think are incredible resources in the city of Sonoma. I do have some concern as far as the process and the design process in particular, because walking into particularly Mountain Cemetery, you can almost tell the transition of time, the ages of which these various pieces have kind of come together. And I think it's extremely important that whoever is involved in the design portion of it realize that we want to create something that appears intended, and it appears like it was purposeful, and that it just does not necessarily appear to be an add-on. So I do hope that, and I'm curious on what the design review process is. Is this something where this will be going before Design Review Commission? Is this coming before a special ad hoc group? Is this coming before the City Council?
My understanding is it's coming back to council, but David can talk about that.
Yeah, we will define that for council. We've heard that concern, and I think we will map out what that process is going to be. We are going to rely on our design professionals to provide some options. They have walked the site, and we've expressed those concerns to them, but we do want to hear what they bring to the table. And then we'll work on what that process looks like, if it's, like you said, either through the council or potentially even using pros or an organization or group that's designed to focus on parks and the open space areas. But then we'll lay that out for council and get input from council prior to that putting anything into place.
And I believe I've heard correctly, enter the current policies and procedures that have been updated. Is that coming back to council for review and sign off?
It would. We actually we have a draft, but depending on this hire, the recommendation from the consultant was, let's wait till we have a full-time person, depending on their experience. They may have some very specific items that they feel strongly should be included in the policy. So that would be coming to you shortly after the position is filled.
Great, thank you. I, again, just want to vote my support for the efforts that are going into really elevating what I think are some forgotten treasures that we have in this town. And so I'm all in for just elevating up to something that we'll be all very proud of. So thank you.
All right, thank you. We will take a vote at some point. Yes, please. Go ahead.
And I'm, from your comments, that this would also include possibilities for compostable burials. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Just real quickly, you said 1.75 FTEs are currently dedicated to the cemetery, and is that strictly maintenance and?
We have a half-time admin that does all our sales, kind of customer service coordinating with the mortuaries. We have part of a maintenance worker and coordinator, as well as kind of a finance administrative that does all of the accounting and that kind of stuff. So we have 50%, 90% is maintenance. So that's like 1.4. And then there's a 15% admin and a 20% kind of supervisorial in public works. That also helps with that. So it's spread around. And so the part that probably would get focused onto the management position wouldn't necessarily be the maintenance piece, but the other pieces.
Well, and there's a percentage of your time that has been dedicated to the cemetery as well. So you're probably looking at least 2.0, I would think. So anyway, all right, thank you. I was just kind of curious on that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes.
One quick, well, it's more of a comment. And I appreciate the fact that in this process of bringing everything kind of current, that we've done a lot of comparisons between other cemeteries throughout the region, and that we are becoming, I'm not sure if cost competitive is quite the right expression, but I just want to just go on the record to say that I think it's incredibly important that we are gracious, we're compassionate. These are times in which are very difficult. And I would like to think that our goal is to be self-sustaining and not necessarily seeing this as an opportunity to make money. So I just wanted to share that.
All right. Anybody from the community or the audience like to speak to this?
Robert Demler, First Street West, Sonoma. As one of the very few people in the public left here this evening, and as a veteran, would the council indulge me with a question instead of a statement?
You may ask the question to the council. May not get an answer until after we resume.
I really want to ask through the council, Ms. Yanovich, a question. Rebekah, may I please have the slide with the Veterans Cemetery? With the star, yeah. One of my friends at City Hall, and I've got lots of friends at City Hall I treasure, led me to believe that on the star on the right side from about 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock points, there is a possibility of other lines of graves, but I was told that that's not being considered. Is that correct? that they're all sold out, but no more will be, there's,
Okay, so is that your question?
well, it's where it says proposed, is that for a columbarium? Where the white box is?
I believe that's correct.
Sorry, Jennifer, please.
I will make an exception. No, please, go ahead and respond.
I don't know what other form to ask this. So
That is, and I'm happy to meet with you, but I will say that is proposed in-ground burials.
Oh, okay.
And the first one was for the columbarium.
And then what about the possible lines of graves between 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock on the right-hand star? What, it's all green now. What's going to happen?
This is initial, so that'll be for future, but I'm happy to go over that anytime if you want to.
I would like to, because I want a very
Yeah, I
prominent
see.
place.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Anybody else want to speak on this? Mr. Guin, it looked like you had something to offer. Is that a false read? Okay. All right, we'll be back to the council. What are your wishes? Yes.
Well, I think this was a great report. We've had several reports. We know there are problems out there. My condolences, and I hear you, sir, for the trouble that you've had. But that's partially the reason that we need to do these things. Things have to be transparent. We have to be competitive. It's sad to say. It's a sad institution, but we have to be able to manage it efficiently. We've had a grand jury report that has compelled us to take a hard look at this. Obviously, if we don't have anyone whose full-time job is to take care of this, it won't get taken care of. It's difficult when you're piecing positions together to take care of something that is so needy. It's something that we know we're going to need from, going forward. And I agree with my colleague, Mr. Wellander, when he talks about the history and, the value that it has historically and so forth. So I certainly agree with all of this and look forward to getting more reports on the progress and make sure that everyone in Sonoma has a beautiful place, final resting place for their families, their loved ones, themselves, something we can be proud of, and something that people will feel is fair in terms of what the market offers and as for these services. So I will be voting yes on this.
I was hoping to hear a motion in there someplace.
I move approval of the recommendation.
All right.
I would second that.
We have a motion and a second. City Clerk, please.
Councilmember Wellander.
Yes.
Councilmember Lowe.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Farrar-Rivas.
Aye.
Mayor Gurney.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 401.
Thank you. And moving on to item 9.2. This deals with the appointments to the Climate Action Commission, the Cultural and Fine Arts Commission, Design Review and Historic Preservation Commission, Parks, Recreation and Open Space Commission, Traffic Safety Committee, and I think that's all of them. And I think our presentation will be from the City Clerk in a moment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the commissions have been a topic of discussion for the council since December. We've reviewed the composition, the residency, the dissolution of the alternate, the youth ages, their terms, the appointment process, among other things. Tonight we're bringing forward the commission appointments. thing's not working. So March 8, 2024. What's the significance of this date? Well, Ordinance 01-2024 was adopted on February 7th and became effective on March 8th, as did the policy changes that you guys have been working on. Tonight, we're going to be addressing some of those changes that these are now effective. We're going to be talking about the expansion of all of the commissions, so they're now all 7 members, and appointing 2 of the at-large seats. And this is going to look just a little bit different than what's in your packet, because I went through and removed, with the appointment of, the direct appointment of Cedra Shapira Nathan, I removed her from your slides. I also put a little note that the alternate position dissolution is with the exception of the Planning Commission. So when preparing the staff report for tonight, it quickly became very apparent that there were multiple things that we would have to consider when we were making these changes in the appointments. Whether the individual was a direct appointee, whether they were an alternate, whether they were a city resident, a valley resident, whether they were part of the school district, whether they wanted to continue, whether they were, there was going to be at least one at-large member, was going to be a valley resident if we made these. So when we were looking at this, we also had 3 direct appointees that were currently sitting when the changes became effective, that were valley residents that were going to be affected. And there were 3 individuals who were holding the now dissolved alternate positions that had expressed interest in continuing. So, oh, sorry. So what we would like to do is, because it could easily become confusing, is we would like to take each commission individually and go through them and make the changes, or have the council consider each commission individually. Because of the direct appointees that are affected, the valley direct appointees and the alternates or previous alternates, staff recommends that the council consider appointing those direct appointees or valley resident direct appointees and the alternates to the at-large positions on those commissions. And then if there is a position that remains, then look at the applications that were submitted. With that, we'll move through the first one. So in this case, you have the Climate Action Commission. You have the 2 at-large positions. This commission was previously 5. You have 2 affected commissioners, previous commissioners. You have Tom Conlon, who is a valley resident direct appointee, and Leo McCloskey, who is the alternate as a city resident. We talked to both of them. They both wish to continue. Staff's recommendation was that we appoint Tom Conlon or that you appoint Tom Conlon and Leo McCloskey to the at-large positions. We did receive 1 other application through the recruitment for Laura Rosas, who's a valley resident who would be eligible for one of those at-large positions. And with that, I can answer any questions, or I will turn it over to council to consider on this commission.
All right, you want to go commission by commission versus?
Do you want to, because of the public comment issue, do you want to go through
We can.
all of them, offer public comment on all of them, and then go back and take each one for action?
That works.
Okay.
Okay.
That actually works better. The next one is the Cultural and Fine Arts Commission. They were a full commission because they were already 7 members, but because of some changes that happened on the Cultural and Fine Arts Commission, the 2 at-large members that were seated, 2 of the directly appointed members fell off, and both of the seated at-large members were city residents, and so Mayor Gurney and Councilmember Ding appointed the 2 at-large members this evening, opening up the at-large seats. So we recommend, staff's recommending that the council consider appointing Scott Van Wagner and Meredith Knudsen, who were currently sitting on the commission when these changes were put in place. The Design Review and Historic Preservation Commission, 2 new at-large seats. There were no affected commissioners. We did receive 2 applications. One is a Valley resident, Steve Caniglia, and one is a city resident, Susan Bagato. They both were qualified. And so with this item, staff would consider, I would recommend that the council consider making the 2 appointments from the applications by a majority vote of the council, or direct staff to go back out for further applications. The Parks and Recreation and Open Space, again, these are 2 new at-large positions. You have 1 affected commissioner. This is Patricia Colinan. She was a direct appointee. She does wish to continue. Staff recommends that that Patricia Colinan be appointed to one of the at-large positions, and that the council consider making the other appointment from one of the applications received by a majority vote, which was Jeffrey Roush is a city resident and Scott Cohen is a Valley resident. Because Ms. Colinan is a Valley resident, it satisfies the requirement that at least one of them be a Valley resident, so either of them would be eligible. And if the council did wish to do so, because one of them is a affected commissioner, previous commissioner, the council could decide to do this as separate actions on this item, or as a separate item. And then the last one is the Traffic Safety Committee. These are 2 new at-large positions, and you have 1 affected commissioner, and that is Peter Koster, who is a city resident. He was the alternate. He does wish to continue. And this is the same situation as the pros, where you have 1 person who was an affected previous commissioner. He is a city resident, and so he would be eligible, and the 2 that are applications that received are both Valley. So you would meet the requirement if you were to choose either of these individuals. And so with that, if you have any questions going forward, I'd be happy to answer them. I know we went through that fast, and we can go from there.
All right. Are there any questions from the council?
Whether it's now or later, I do believe there was a comment that said that you would share with us the historic attendance of various commissioners. I retract the request.
No, and that is my apology. I did say that, and this became so confusing, Councilmember Wellander, that I completely it about it. My apologies.
No problem.
I will provide that to you.
All right. And Ms. Lowe.
I would personally like to, as far as the people that are already serving, being able to move into other positions, I'm 100% in favor of that, and thank them for their continued service. Nothing really changes except for, it's just a structural thing. As far as other applications, personally, I'd like to continue to open this up, since we're having this meeting tonight. That'll sort of shine a light on what we're doing, and perhaps everybody's watching us tonight and ask you to apply. I personally do have a direct appointment. It's not showing on that, but I do have a direct appointment that I still am encouraging people to apply for. But these are wonderful applications. We're so blessed in this town to have so many people with, just incredible. I look at their LinkedIn and I'm like, oh my goodness, this person should be running the world. And they want to be on our commission. So I thank them all. But I would like to have a little bit more time and, perhaps Perhaps the newspaper could report on that, and and we could encourage people. But I'm not personally not ready to vote on anyone at large tonight, even though I do think this is an incredible pool of people. But I am prepared to vote absolutely on any of the people currently serving to continue. All of them, I think, should be continued.
Yeah, I appreciate that because there's a couple of the alternates that, while their resumes look very good, I have not had a chance to talk with them or meet with them, and I would prefer to know or find a reference for them, which is, you know, the other way, if you can't meet with them directly, is to meet with someone else that you trust in the community that you can talk to and get a feel for who they are, because although the resumes, many of them look very, very good, one of the things I like to think of is the actual makeup of each commission, whether there's a balance of experience. I would really like to strive for in the future that we try to have 2 Valley residents on each of, if at all possible, and I know that's not always possible, but just really, it gives us more time to think about that, like what does each commission look like? Who's there? What are we looking for? I know when I think of the, one particular commission in particular, I'm not just looking of like the gender makeup, but I'm also looking at kind of the backgrounds. You know, are there enough specific different types of backgrounds that bring the full expertise that's needed? So I really appreciate what our city council member Lowe woman is saying. So then I also wanted to point out that it could be a little confusing on this one because we have Steve Coniglia is on 2. There's 2 possible areas where he could get appointed. One is for design and review, and I thought it came up under another one too. Oh yes, and also for traffic. So just that, when that's happening too, we have to take into consideration of where is really the best place, to go back and say from a conversation, if he passes, what would be the best place for him to be.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from council?
I too agree with my fellow Councilwoman Lowe. I think that those that have already committed in the past and were willing to serve even in the non-glorious alternate, doing homework and not being able to say much, I think is appropriate. My question to staff is, how long have we been advertising this?
The application period has been advertised since mid-February and repeatedly sent out.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Take it to the public. Is there any public comment on this? Be a no? No? Okay. All right. Then we're bringing it back to the council again. So let me suggest that we go back and go commission by commission, address the ones. I would imagine if there's ones that we want to have come back to us at a later time, we can just vote no on those and proceed accordingly. Is that reasonable?
I don't think we have to vote no. I think that we could just vote affirmatively on the affected commissioners, and then I think we should come back on the because there's nothing to compel us to appoint anyone who's applied tonight. But I think we are compelled to move forward on the affected commissioners in their new title. They're still serving, but in a different.
Okay. Well, some of them won't have to come back to us at all if we approve them tonight. So
You could just direct staff essentially instead of a no vote is what I believe
Okay.
Councilmember Lowe said. Right.
all right. So then, is the screen the first one we're looking at here?
And I think the first one will be a good example. So if we do that.
Yeah.
climate action is our first one. Your affected commissioners
Council.
are.
I would like to move the appointment of Tom Conlon and Leo McCloskey to continue serving. One is a Valley resident, direct appointee, and the other, well, he'll be the alternate. Yeah. Appoint Tom Conlon and Leo McCloskey. At large.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Councilmember Wellander,
Yes.
Councilmember Lowe.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Farrar-Rivas,
Aye.
Mayor Gurney.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 401. Next, we're on the Cultural and Fine Arts Commission, and we are, the affected commissioners are Scott Van Wagner, who is was a Valley resident direct appointee, and Meredith Knudsen, who is a Valley resident alternate.
All right.
Same thing. I move that we appoint Scott Van Wagner and Meredith Knudsen to the two at-large positions.
I second it.
Councilmember Wellander,
Yes.
Councilmember Lowe,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Farrar-Rivas,
Aye.
Mayor Gurney.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 401. This is the Design Review Historic Preservation Commission, and you have no affected commissioners.
This is the one where I would move that we take time so that we can look at these individuals and see if there's anybody else we want to have apply. Do we have a second? Oh.
Well, we don't need, we just have to take no action.
Oh, that's right. No action.
I mean, I think we need consensus. We need consensus from the council that that's the direction.
Is there a consensus from the council?
So are we are we wanting to solicit more choices, or is it because we haven't taken the time to follow up and check on the two that have submitted?
I think all of the above, really.
So, okay. Okay.
All right.
Plus, I have a direct appointment in this particular commission as well, and that may influence. I could choose one of these people as my direct appointment also. So that's why So that's why I'd like to wait and see what happens on this particular one.
Due to the potential quorum issues for this specific board and timing of projects, can we have a little direction in terms of how much time you'd like to re-advertise, or how much time would you like us to bring it back?
When do they need to meet? Date. Give me a date.
So if it's possible to do it by I think we maybe do we're not kind of, I'm sorry.
It's the second Tuesday.
Yeah, I think what we'll need to do then is we'll aim to have it the first meeting of May.
I think that's
fine.
plenty. I think we'll do it before that. Yeah.
So the next one is the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Commission, and you have one affected commissioner, and that is Patricia Cullinan. Was the direct appointee.
I move that we appoint Patricia Cullinan to one of the at-large positions with gratitude.
I second.
Councilmember Wellander,
Yes.
Councilmember Lowe,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Farrar-Rivas,
Aye.
Mayor Gurney.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 401. And finally, you have the Traffic Safety Committee, and you have one affected commissioner, and that is Peter Costner, who is a city resident.
I move that we appoint Peter Costner to one of the at-large positions.
I second that.
Councilmember Wellander,
Yes.
Councilmember Lowe,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Farrar-Rivas,
Aye.
Mayor Gurney.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 401. Thank you very much.
And I have a request that we, for ones where, for example, that we get a new, well, you took Cedra's name off, but for ones where we have that there's multiple, like a star by their name, that they're also applying for another eligible for another commission. So that as we're looking at it, we're not.
Usually when we do the appointments, we present them a little differently, so it shows that. It shows,
Yeah, it's usually on the
this was
spreadsheet.
a little bit interesting because of the affected commissioners, so we will definitely note that a little differently for you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and so now it's sort of cleaned up, and we should be able to look very cleanly as to what is still available. And I think that will also help the public. I think there was a lot of confusion, you know, when you're switching to a sort of a new system, a system that I wholeheartedly support because I think it's consistent and going forward it'll be a lot easier to manage. And so it's always hard. It's just like every 10 years when they redraw the lines for the Assembly and the Senate and everybody is like, wait a minute, you know, I'm in so-and-so and now I'm in so-and-so. Those stuff like that happens. So we're in that transition period, and I think because of that, it's well to give it a little bit of some time. And now we know exactly how many positions are open, who has the direct appointments. Everybody who wanted to serve has been taken care of, and now we can move forward. So I think it'll be easier going forward.
Speaking of moving forward, meeting adjourned.
Wow, that was cool. Look at you, 7:40.
I thought I was betting with Louis.
What?
I
Well,
was
you were
saying
gonna go out to
7:30,
dinner
he
or
was
something?
saying 8. No, he's at the movie. He's at the film festival opening. Is there, I don't know, I'm so tired. I don't know if I can, I'm in gala mode.
Oh, go be gal.
But I think just at home.